like terms. And then also sometimes people have a hard time with when we subtract negatives, so just being really careful of that. Okay, so look over here. So like terms have to have the same variable part. Okay? So there's some shapes. I don't know if you see these shapes here. There's a box around this shape because there's an x squared. I want to point out to you that the 14x is not a like term with that. I don't know where your new seed is, so I'm going to have to look it up. So these you may not put together. The only thing you can put together are the x squareds. How many x squareds do I have? Well, what's the coefficient of x squared here? 4. There's no coefficient here. What does that mean is really there? 1. So 4x squared plus 1x squared is 5x squared.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have xy's. The only thing we can add or subtract xy's with is if there's an xy. So 3xy and a 7xy would make 10xy. And then there's no other x term, so I just have 14x. I have a pen. Oh, there's a pencil right there. Okay, so here's the deal. You cannot add and subtract unlike terms, but you can multiply them. We're going to get to that later on. Okay, so if I ask you to add, that's what we're doing today. The only one you may do that with is like terms. So here's a little thing. I know this seems maybe kind of elementary, but think of like terms as totally different things. Even if there's an x squared and an x, they're totally different things. And the coefficients are what we add together. So if I see this plus here, there's a couple ways that you could do this. I'll show you the different ways. Some teachers just teach that we can drop that parentheses and we just add the like terms together if it's addition. So I don't have an extra step. So I'm going to use some highlighters. I have 3x squared. What is the like term with 3x squared? Yep. Plus x squared, but we talked about how if there is nothing in front of the x squared, that's just because what coefficient is that? 1. So what would we put that together to be? 4x squared. Good. Okay. Next, be careful because I have subtracting 4x. I have to make sure that I realize that subtracting 4x is, we're going to treat it as adding a negative 4x. And then I have plus 7x. Yep. So that's plus 3x. And then I have my constant terms. So my constant terms are plus 8 minus 5. What would that be? Good.
-3.
Well, the 8 is bigger than the subtract 5, so the sign would be positive. So some teachers, I'm going to give you options here. Let's do it in a different one. This is just another way of doing this. So this is my simplified term. Some teachers teach stacking on top of one another so you can see your like terms and how that would work. So I'm just going to show you another method and you can use what you prefer. Is if you had 3x squared minus 4x plus 8, they have plus, and then they put the like terms right underneath here. So I would put the x squared underneath here, and then I'd put the plus 7x under here, and the minus 5 under here. And that way, if there's missing like terms, I don't make the mistake of adding them together. So sometimes people teach that way. So that's the same idea though. I still get 4x squared plus 3x plus 3. So if you would prefer to do it that way, that's fine, just another way. Okay, yes?
So what if there was so what if it's like negative?
Yep, that's what we're going to work on next. What if it's a subtraction? So if there's a subtraction, what you have to be really, really careful of is this. What is this called? parentheses, right? So it's almost like you have to think of distributive property. That subtraction applies to every term in there. And so I really, really encourage people to write it out. So what I mean by that is, in this case, because this is a subtraction, I'm not going to just look across. I'm going to actually write out my terms. So I'm going to not change this at all. 3x squared minus 4x plus 8. And then I'm going to make sure I apply that negative to everything in there. So minus x squared. That's minus 7x. What happens when I have minus 5 plus 5? Okay, so the only difference in subtraction is that little step. Make sure you distribute that negative to each thing. And once again, I'm going to group my like terms together. So this time I have 3x squared, but I'm subtracting x squared.
2x squared?
Yep. So I have minus 4x, and I have minus 7x. So think of minus 4x means I'm going negative 4, and then I'm continuing to go another negative 7. What would that give me?
11.
Negative 11 or minus 11x. And then I have plus 8. Ooh, pink on pink doesn't work so good. That's an E. That's an 8. Plus 8 plus 5 is very nice. Plus 13. Okay. You're just simplifying, so you can't go any further than that. So that's all we're doing today. So let me show you my box or my stacking method with this one. So once again, this is not anything new, guys. I'm just showing an alternate way. So if you wanted to use stacking with this, you would have your 3x squared minus 4x plus 8 on top. And then you'd subtract each term on the bottom. You'd still have to do minus x squared minus 7x plus 5 there. And you'd get the same thing. So we have 2x squared minus 11x plus 13. Okay. Logan, question.
Why is it plus 5?
So this subtraction symbol applies to the whole parentheses. So it's if I'm subtracting, when we subtract numbers, that's the same as adding a negative. So if I have minus a negative 5, then it becomes positive. Okay? So the only time you're changing signs, though, is you want to look real carefully, is if I'm subtracting the whole thing. Okay, Terrell, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right, 2 more, and then I'm going to let you guys work. So sum, what does the word sum mean? Add or subtract? Add. Okay. So the sum of 3x squared minus 5x plus 7 and x squared plus 2x minus 1 is ax squared plus bx plus c. What's a, b, and c? Okay, well, let's add them together and figure this out. We've seen problems like this before, right? All right, so let's add 3x squared plus 1x squared. What is that? 4x squared. Okay, minus 5x, remember we're doing sum, minus 5x plus 2x.
3x.
Yep, minus 3x. And then 7 minus 1 plus 6. So I'm going to identify the a, b, and c a second. A is just the number in front of the x squared, so it's the 4. For b, be careful because it's saying plus b. This is actually a negative 3, so b is a negative 3, and c is a positive 6. What's the sum of a plus b plus c? What's 4 plus a negative 3 plus 6? Yeah. Ooh, difference. I have to write out work on difference. So we have difference of these same numbers.
Difference when you subtract, huh?
It does. So I'm going to do a subtraction sign. I'm going to apply it to each of these terms. So I have minus x squared. I'm going to put it right below there. I have minus 2x. And I have minus a negative 1, so I'm going to be adding 1. Okay. What does that give me? 2x squared minus 5x minus 2x is minus 7x plus 8. All right, so this time A is 2, B is negative 7, and C is 8. So 2 plus negative 7 plus 8, negative 5, right? Negative 5 plus 8. Right here? Or right here? In the beginning, Shane, do you see how it says that word difference there? So on that one, I subtracted them. Whereas here, you see the word sum, so then I added them. I wrote the subtraction right here. So 3x squared minus x squared. Yeah. And then this is the minus 5x minus 2x. And 7, I could write minus negative 1, but then I just realized, well, minus negative 1 would be plus 1. So. Okay, what did we say that was? 3? Okay, bam. Easy peasy. So here's the deal, guys. The hardest thing I think on this is it sounds like some of us adding and subtracting negative numbers. So if you need to use a calculator to check your answers, even though it's very basic, to check like, hey, that you're adding your positive and negatives correctly, you may do that. All right, so here's what we got. You may move. Here's the thing though, when we